Warning, the following stunts are done by trained professionals. Actually, we're not trained. Robbie is just a dumbass and decided to do a drunken fantasy football podcast. The thoughts, opinions, and takes are ours and ours only. It is not our fault if you lose in fantasy football or sports gambling. Viewer discretion is advised.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the one and only Rumboyz Fantasy Network. I know that it has been a couple of days, about a week. It's been about a week since we've been on air. But we are back. Rumboyz After Dark. This is the final Rumboyz After Dark before 2025. New year, new setup is going to be locked in 2025. Cannot fucking wait. Super excited. And yeah, Taco should be here shortly. But real quick, a word from our sponsors, Shop GLD. It looked like from when I checked over the Christmas holiday, a couple of you got some GLD. Let's get it.
Hop out in Miami when no land, ain't got no understanding. How to hear I'm burning, no turn me up, you can't understand it. In the club, posted up, they lit up, no matter where I'm standing. Shop GLD for the Cuban link, yeah, you see it there. Might spaz out on some taller shit, no on zero tolerance. Money conversations ain't hard to relate, it's hollering. See my net, they acknowledge it, good bring her where you're not.
That's right, big shout, Shop GLD. See, got my Commanders chain. Commanders, important game this week. We are going to talk about that a little bit later on. Daniel, what is good? What is good? Aiden, what is up? What is up? We're going to go ahead. Cheers to me. Cheers to you. All the Rum boys and girls, what to do. Dilly. Whoa, that's strong. Oh, that's going to have me nice and litty. All right, so we are just waiting on Taco. We do have a lot to talk about. We do have to go over everything that went down over the course of the week with the Christmas Netflix games. We do have to talk about the NFL playoff picture. Last night's atrocity of a Thursday night football game. We are going to go ahead and break down that, what the future of the Chicago Bears looks like. Pete Carroll wanted to toss his name into the ring there, what the future is going to look like for Caleb. We are going to discuss the MVP voting, the league MVP, one of the most coveted NFL honors that a player can receive. And then also we do have to talk about the future of a certain quarterback situation and also get you guys through the college football playoff, big football week as we head into the new year, as we close out 2024, as we get ready to close out the regular season. We're pretty much, for the most part, at the tail end of the regular seasons. Feel free right now to tell me how you guys' fantasy football teams are doing while I wait on Taco to pull up so that we can get into tonight's discussions. Tell me how your fantasy football teams are doing. I'm about to whoop Mike's ass on the way towards a championship in the staff league. Super stoked about that. And then also got a dynasty championship on the way as well. Things are looking pretty well in my favor after those boring Christmas games. I was on the right side of those games. Hopefully Taco pulls up. Aiden, how's your fantasy teams doing? You got any championships you're about to lock up? Or are you eliminated from everything? I hope you're not eliminated from everything. Let me see where he's at. It shouldn't take this long to log on. I want to start because I figured by the time he gets here, we can get into like the first topic on the show sheet. Then we can go ahead. Mike should probably be here. Jalen Hurts is going to be out this week. Yes, it's both. It's both right now. It's both. So kind of just waiting on both. Taco said he's pit stopping at the bathroom. He was almost done. That was 5 minutes ago. Must be taking a shit. I'm gonna assume taking a shit. What did you guys think of the Netflix games? What did you guys think of the Netflix games? What did you guys think of the Christmas Day games? On Christmas games. I feel like they were super predictable. Great production by Netflix. They averaged what 24 million subscribers. They had a total of 65 million that watched at least a minute of Christmas football. LeBron James kind of came out, said he's not a fan of Christmas football. Say, hey, this is our day. I'm excited to kind of talk about that. Bro has had to have probably fucking fallen in the damn toilet or something. Mike's still stuck in traffic, waiting on him as well. But hopefully everyone should be here within the next few minutes, and we'll be all set. We'll be all good to go. I don't like fucking waiting. If it was a play-by-play, I would just do it myself. 11 of 24 in the semis, 6 left in the finals. None of my players have played yet. Let's fucking go. Oh, so anything can happen for you. You got just nothing but a whole Saturday and Sunday slate. It's pretty much impossible to avoid, at least not even having people tomorrow. But Saturday slate's gonna be intense. A lot of playoff implications on that Saturday slate. Then you get a prime time Sunday night game with playoff implications. With Atlanta and Washington. This thing, alrighty, and finally, alrighty, hey, welcome.
All right, oof, long night already.
Yeah, let's now just jump right in because holy fuck, like trying to stall, like that was not cool. Alrighty, so we did have football earlier. Well, first, hope you had a blessed holiday. All right,
same for you. It was a bit hectic. Like I told everyone, I've never cooked so much in my life, but that's the life of a dad, right?
Exactly. Yeah, plug up your mic, do whatever you got to do, get set up while I go ahead and get ready to read this topic. We did have football earlier this week with even more football taking place this weekend between the NFL and college football playoff. Although ratings were through the roof for Netflix NFL on Christmas, 65 million people watched at least a minute. The reviews were often, from what I got through the internet, were that these games were boring for the most part. And then also many voiced their concerns about player health and even player safety. Some, saying, hey, don't really want to be watching ball unless like I'm getting, everyone at their best, top quality, ball. I mean, everyone's pretty much banged up at this point of the year. LeBron James even came out stating, hey, loves the NFL, but Christmas is our day. Thoughts on NFL on Christmas and, NFL on Netflix in general?
The concept of the NFL on Netflix, I think, is a very interesting, idea because of how many people have access to Netflix. Like, I think Netflix might be a cheaper subscription than ESPN. I'd like to say that ESPN more than likely costs a little bit more than just what you're going to spend for Netflix, which when you think about it from the grand scheme of things is actually good for the game because it's a lower access point, and more people probably have Netflix and have cable. Like it's a big shift in viewer dynamics. And I think when we saw the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, where it's like mad people just tuning in to stream one thing, we kind of saw like they
The
have the
NFL stepped
ability
in
to
and
reach.
definitely fixed that. You could tell that the NFL definitely stepped in
Yeah.
and gave Netflix some money and was like, here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fix
But it
this.
also shows the reach because everybody and their mama popped on Netflix and was trying to go watch that. And I think that kind of shows where we are almost as a society. I don't think as many people would have cable. Like if it was a pay-per-view on cable, you would have to have some sort of streaming platform kind of cover it. And I think we're
So,
seeing that.
so there definitely is still linear, you know. So I'm 100% giving Netflix their props. Giving NFL the props for being able to put money behind that already machine to make sure that we didn't get a product like what the Jake Paul Tyson fight was. I think that was kind of a little experimental.
And I'll say this: like if you look at the way they're using Peacock and trying to put the playoff game, the one wild card game, and like that one of those first early games of the year on Peacock, I feel like that's kind of what Netflix is grooming themselves for, is that opportunity.
Wild
And
Card
Peacock
Weekend is
only
on
really
Prime.
got that because
Wild
they had
Card Weekend is on Prime, I believe.
Wild Card Weekend is on Prime. But last year it was on Peacock. They had the one game, but they're trying to sell off at least one or two of these early games to get more revenue TV wise from these companies. And I just this is the beginning of Netflix. I just wonder how do they integrate shopping into this experience, which is what we know is coming next.
Well,
Because
yeah,
it's such a personalized experience that the NFL, in my opinion, is gonna want to do business with Netflix, just like they do with Amazon, for so many different aspects of advertising and other things. So I think this is a great move from the NFL. Them playing on Christmas Day, I think, is a little overkill. I think this is where you start to spread yourself a little thin because you're coming up so close to the playoffs. And this is like a fantasy football weekend, which, I know doesn't technically shouldn't mean anything to the NFL, but a large portion of your fan base plays and participates in this. And you want to be friendly towards that. So in my opinion, I feel like they're spreading it a little too thin, too close to the playoffs, and in the fantasy playoffs, which again is only 1 to 2 weeks before the season ends. I don't like that they're kind of fucking the flow up for some of these teams that are going to be competing for spots.
What I mainly so first, to the product that Netflix put out, great job on them, from all the announcers. I really heard that for the international experience, because they weren't really able to show commercials for their experience. They were getting Drew Brees just, I guess, randomly talking about whatever. So kind of unique there for that viewership. All in all, great job, Netflix. Great job to everyone that participated. RG3, K Adams, Mina. Mina really, really bodied, the analytics there. And just, I mean, big ups to everyone that had a hand in that. Yes, seemed like a little bit less commercials. I mean, of course, you're still going to have your injury timeouts, your yada, 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 so on and so forth. I kind of like the spectacle of Beyonce, then Mariah Carey, in between games, the All I Want for Christmas, type of deal. That was fun. Great way to bridge generation gaps. Definitely, there's still something to say about linear, because obviously linear, still has a chokehold with contracts and everything. We're definitely 10, 15, 20 years away from sports just being all on streaming, from linear going away.
I think that linear and streaming are gonna get more connected. I feel like.
Yeah, I think how we have it now is pretty much how it's going to be for the most part. To the actual NFL product, and this is as a football junkie. I don't like I understand the NFL doing this because of money. This is money. This is advertising dollars. This is why the NFL is putting so many games, close together towards the end of the season with the holidays and everything. I am all okay with it, for, Thanksgiving or whatever, putting 3 teams out there on a Thursday, fine. I've grown accustomed to Thursday football. This isn't a gripe on, Thursday football, because they kind of have fixed that with, you get the 10 days, kind of in between, so to speak. You get like the mini bye, kind of, so to speak. What I don't like is putting, obviously next year Christmas isn't going to fall on a Wednesday. I don't like the idea of players having to get less rest and be rushed out there even quicker. I don't like it from the player's safety standpoint. I think that when we start having to have the conversation of viewership on Christmas Day or players' safety to give you a quality viewing experience for a game, I don't need football on Christmas Day. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely nice. It's a luxury. I would have much rather seen that Houston versus Kansas City on a Sunday when both those teams could have been fully rested, especially Houston not really having time to adapt and overcome, with the whole Tank Dell injury. You don't really get time as a defensive coordinator. You don't really get time, to study, all the ins and outs of that particular offense. Kind of same thing. The offense, they're not really able to go through all their walkthroughs. By the time that you're getting to that Wednesday, recovery for the body has barely even taken place. Next year, it'll be fine because Christmas is going to fall on a Thursday. Anytime that we have to sacrifice, player recovery, I say this as someone that played. I know that even as a high schooler, my body took time to recover. I know that even when I played semi-pro here in Colorado, my body took time to recover. I would have preferred to maybe see those players not be as rushed out. Same thing with Baltimore, Pitt. Like, I would have just preferred to maybe not see as rushed of a product.
Yep, I totally agree with you. And just think of it like this: we're so close to the playoffs. To lose like a star player with the quick turnaround would be like catastrophic. Like, imagine if something happened to like Mahomes or someone on the Chiefs team. We'd be just sitting here and just be like railroading this. And thank God it didn't happen. But I think keeping them on a more regular schedule. I get it. It's a huge cash grab. Like, they're fucking making money hand over fist.
And these were playoff teams. These were playoff teams that were out there too. It's like, I don't want my playoff teams that are going to impact my Super Bowl viewing experience out there on Christmas Day on a fucking short notice.
Or like my home team rooting experience. Like, imagine you're like the fucking home team, like, and you like see your fucking guy go down, and you're so pissed off now because you realize it's a fucking money grab that your guy had to play. And if it would have been like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of shit that you're gonna like really like. Then you're gonna create animosity from a fan base towards the NFL, being like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we're lucky that there was no injuries, but that's obviously the risk that we play.
I don't think that those games would have been as big of blowouts as they were had there been a normal amount of time for preparation. We hear these great minds like Saban talk about what a week of preparation is like. We hear these great minds like hell, Bill in his media stint over the last year has talked about what he's had to do to prep for a game. I've really been enjoying, John Gruden kind of talk about how he went out and, prep for a game. And you hear, all these coaches, all the way back from like the old school era, kind of talk about what a week of practice is like and what a week of walkthroughs is like, and film and gathering, and you have this on this day and then this on the next day, so on and so forth. I don't like for even the coaches having to try and prep a game plan on this really jam-packed schedule. All because it's like, let's hurry up, let's go grab viewers. I want quality football. I want quality football, which is we're gonna get into talking about last night. So you have Chicago and Seattle on Christmas. Fuck, Santa not bringing gifts. Look, I would much rather them give me bullshit. If they really care about a money grab and having games on Christmas, don't give me the quality teams
the
on
Giants
Christmas.
versus the Panthers.
Right?
Giants versus Panthers.
Like, they do it with international games. They do not send good teams for international games. They send kind of borderline middle of the pack, not fully middle of the pack, but like borderline middle of the pack, and like bottom tier teams for international games. That's what they do, because they know the travel and those are things that they take into account when they schedule those games.
That's why they say the Jaguars are London's team.
Like I feel like I would think that the thought processes would go hand in hand. You're getting paid to play the game, so, and I understand that concept. But I also greatly understand the strategic planning that coaches need to be able to prep for an opponent. And I've heard this from coaches that have won these games, and whether it's been the Thanksgivings or I have nothing wrong with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is American football. We need that. I don't know if we need Christmas football.
And then here's the other thing: Thanksgiving.
I feel like we need Christmas football as long as it's not on a rushed week.
How about this? We have Thanksgiving always on a Thursday, and there's Thursday night football. So it's been built into the way that you prepare.
Exactly.
So this
it's built into the archetype.
It's another weird wrinkle that now you have Wednesday and Thursday, and we're gonna play a game on Saturday, and we're gonna play a game on Sunday. You know how fucking difficult that is for me to edit my goddamn team? Oh fuck, I forgot to take Mixon out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they happen in one league. I fucking forgot to take Mixon out because I'm like, this guy's a bum right now. I need him out. But you know what? With all these fucking games, it's getting annoying.
I will give credit. That was the first time realistically that two actually competitive teams went and represented internationally. Two superstar level teams. What I can say that the NFL did right, and look, enough about the football side of it, right? That's my rant about the football side of it. From the branding, from the marketing, I don't give a fuck. Okay? Look, here's the thing. The NFL scheduled damn good teams that, knowing that with the subscriber base that Netflix is going to have, you have the star power. You had the star power of the Chiefs. You had the star power of the Texans and, the Ravens. Like, these are teams that have Super Bowl prowess, that have, star power, that have, won MVPs. The Steelers are just world renowned and historic all across the globe because they've been around for fucking ever. So for the marketing aspect and for the business aspect, I get it. But from the player safety aspect, it sucks. From the coaching aspect, it sucks. These are games that you basically have to game plan for 2 weeks out. Like, games that you basically got a game plan for 2 weeks out. NFL is king. People are going to watch no matter what. I want all the football smoke, whatever day of the week. I'm just a fan, though. I know I'm a straight up junkie. So, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I was torn on this one when researching this topic and then hearing other minds kind of talk about this topic over the last couple of days. I was conflicted with it, and that's why like I have a double-sided view of it. Like, as a fan, I'm like, bucket. Like let's go. I'm gonna watch it regardless. I'm gonna play fantasy irregardless. DraftKings is going to get something out of me irregardless. Like, but that's like the fan side. That's, you know, as the player side and as, you know, someone that is coach. Like, it's like one of the things I'm looking for when I move back to Colorado Springs, I'm looking to get back into coaching. Except I'm going to be coaching at high school level. If they came to me and they were randomly like, "Hey, we know that your varsity team always plays Friday nights, but this upcoming week you're going to play on a Wednesday." As a coach, I would be pissed. I would flip. I would royally fucking flip. Because I'd be like, what do you, so now I don't get my normal preparation, like, you know, but ultimately I would have to sit back, shut up, and understand that, all right, fine, like, it is what it is. Casey has played 6 of 7 days in 2024. First team to do that since 1950s. That's fucking crazy. NBA is just dead. Yes, to LeBron James's point about this being their day, I still did watch NBA basketball. My house, I was over at my in-laws. I made sure that I still was catching both the action, okay? While also simultaneously hosting a Madden tournament that I got eliminated in the second fucking round. Money was on the line. But yeah.
Sounds pretty early.
Sounds
pretty early.
I got eliminated right before the championship round. I ended third.
What was the 3 rounds?
4.
4.
Yeah.
You
4.
won 1 round?
No, I won 2. And then I made it to that semifinal round, and then got eliminated.
Who are you playing with?
We all play with our own teams.
Oh, custom teams?
No, Washington. We all play with our actual like NFL teams. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you this: off season, we need to have some battles, bro.
Well,
I'm pretty sure I'll wash you.
We'll definitely talk about it. But no, for like, you know, NBA, they definitely did their thing on Christmas Day. Traditionally, I was always, you know, Christmas, NBA, I was tuning in around about that time because Washington would be eliminated, or either like Washington would be fighting for like a wild card, but I would inevitably know that like Washington would like come up short, you know, so like it was just torture for myself. After this week, I like my Christmas with football. You know, like as a fan, I like my Christmas with football. I don't like my Christmas with football blowouts. You know, can't correct that, can't change that, but that's why, you know, both should be on the same day. So that way you kind of get ready to ease in a little bit into NBA season, especially if, you know, you're in a situation that where your teams are eliminated, you are eliminated from fantasy. There's no need for you to kind of, you know, be sitting back, putting yourself through the torture or the trauma anymore. But to have football, you know, simultaneously, I like having both, you know. I watched the NBA games due to NFL being blowouts. NFL was first choice, though. Yeah, NFL was first choice, but once it started being a blowout, I looked over at the NBA on the other TV, and I was like, my gosh, like this is fucking amazing. I know that feeling was in a 2K tournament with 300, choked a 17-point lead, finished third.
Ooh.
Nice to have football on the back. Exactly. Want to get into our next topic here. Last night was probably the worst Thursday night football, probably the worst football game in the history of football games that have ever been played in prime time. Like, at least for prime time football, this was the worst football game I had ever seen. Seattle versus Chicago, not a single touchdown scored. You had MVP chance for the Bears punter. The score was 6-3. It felt like I was watching a Mariners versus White Sox game, which ironically enough, when I like doing research, that game happened twice this year, and that was like the average score of that series or those games between those two teams. Begs the question, do you think Seattle is best suited to represent the NFC West in the playoffs? Who is the best coaching fit for Caleb and the Bears? We heard Pete Carroll kind of toss his name into the ring. 72 is the new 52 is the words that I've been hearing all throughout media this week. And then thoughts on Caleb after a season of play.
I mean,
oh my gosh, Aiden, I'm dead.
I think Caleb has shown flashes. He's shown flashes of brilliance, and he's also shown a lot of immaturity. He's shown a lot of emotional behavior. He's shown that he really isn't quite a leader. He's more of a guy. And from a quarterback, you really like when you look at Jaden Daniels, that man has control of his team, and his boys are behind him. When you look at Caleb Williams, he's a guy that's playing the quarterback position. You know what I mean? Like he's not like a leader. Like when you look at CJ Stroud, better example. That man is a leader. That man has his team behind him, particularly last year. You're not seeing anything like that from Caleb, at least from my opinion. So I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I do think that getting a proper coach in here is going to be pretty important. And Pete Carroll throwing his name in there, I think, is very interesting because when you look at Seattle, they have a really solid base of what they can do. Without much talent, they can pretty much can you guarantee they're going to run the ball.
You mean Chicago, not Seattle?
No, I'm talking about Seattle because you said Pete Carroll's throwing his hat in the ring, and I'm like, to go
to Chicago,
right? But he built Seattle, and when you look at Seattle right now, it's functioning without him. He that foundation that he built there and everything that he did there, I think, can really be interesting in a Chicago setting because you have some pieces here. You have a good offense. You have a defense that's not terrible, that was playing pretty good in the beginning. I think that this is one of the teams where coaching can make a big difference because they have a lot of talent in-house already. That offense should have performed much better than it did. I think while I can't think of the next hot offensive assistance coordinator that can come in and really take over the game plan, I am partial to veterans that have a history of developing and showing off quarterbacks like he did with Geno, like he did with Russell, like he did at USC. And I'm partial to a guy like that getting an opportunity with a franchise that has had no success anywhere. Give it to a guy that has a history of success.
I find so first to start with the Seattle side of things. Whoever is chosen to represent, whoever wins out the NFC West, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how that shakes out later on in the show, so I'm not going to go too crazy on that side on this topic. Whether it's the Seahawks, the Rams, or the Cardinals at this point, it's deserving of whoever represents it, because whoever wins it, no matter how the scenario breaks out and finishes, it's very much a representation of how that division has been all year. That division has very much so cannibalized itself. So whoever comes out of it, fully deserving. Now, if Seattle were to get into the playoffs and play like they did last night, I could very easily see the memes self-generating themselves of Seattle, like of a Seattle, Indiana meme, like first round exit, shake hands, bye. Hype was built. I mean, don't get me wrong, McDonald has done great, kind of coaching up that Seahawks team. Hasn't quite been sustainable, hasn't quite been consistent. But I think that's just, they can find things in the offseason. It's a very tough NFC West. Arizona was leading it for a hot minute. You kind of had the 49ers that were always in the thick of it. The Rams were always just a player being back healthy away from really taking control of the driver's seat, which it looks like that they may be able to, come through and do. So there's that. That's how I'll sum up that for Seattle's path into the playoffs. Do I think that they could be a dark horse in the playoffs? Fuck no. I think that they're a first round exit at best. Now over to the Chicago Bears side of things. I am absolutely loving, to your point, Pete Carroll's name being tossed in. Now I know that there are a lot of chants out there, for Ben Johnson, for Cliff Kingsbury, for some of these more offensive-minded coaches. I don't think that you can bring in a defensive-minded guy like a Mike Vrabel to help this team. Chicago has shown, and Chicago showed last night, Chicago has shown all season with the exception of the Hail Maryland, okay? With the exception of the Hail Mary, the Hail Mary, that defense has been, for the most part, even in their 4 wins, that defense is really what got those 4 wins. Those 4 wins aren't on Caleb. Chicago has a defense. I think that, and we've seen Pete Carroll enough, whether it was his time at USC, whether it was his time with Russell in the NFL, we've seen him kind of work with guys and help kind of transform guys. Now I'm not going to – those Seattle teams were built Legion of Boom. Those were defense. I get that Pete Carroll's not necessarily a defensive-minded guy, but he has he has this way and this aura about him and knows the league so well where he can bring in a coordinator to be able to help Caleb. And I get with the way the direction of the NFL is going. If you got a damn good coordinator, he's probably up and out of there after having a successful season. Let's look at what Ben Johnson, after 2 successful seasons with the Detroit Lions, he is the hottest coach candidate across the board, hands down. You look at Cliff Kingsbury, he's able to say, hey, well, I did, get Kyler his rookie of the year. Kyler's best season was with me. I get that kind of went downhill. But, I mean, look at what I'm doing, also doing with this kid Jaden over here with an organization that has been dog shit for the last 32 years. So I think that Pete is probably the best fit, and Pete has been around the block long enough to where he can kind of block out that ownership aspect of it, because there were a chance last night to sell the team. Chicago fans, I'm sorry to tell you, you're not selling the team. You're not selling the team. It's just not going to happen. The coaching jobs that are going around right now probably aren't exactly the most desirable when we talk about the Jets, when we talk about the Jags, when we talk about the Bears, when we talk about the Raiders. Probably not the most desirable jobs. But the fact that somebody like Pete Carroll at 72 years old is coming out and willing to say that, hey, I'll come to your organization and watch me turn that motherfucker around. I think it's because Pete knows that, hey, I can play coach and GM for you, and I can also save you money on paying this cuck named Ryan Poles, and let me turn this team out. Pete helped build those offensive lines as well for the Seattle Seahawks. What's realistically missing when we talk about the Bears offense is an offensive line. Because if you had an offensive line that could complement Caleb's play style, then he might be able to get away with some of the things that he does. Caleb's problem is that he tries to rely on natural talent, and for so long, since high school, he's been able to rely on natural talent because his natural talent so far excelled the competition he played against. Now you're in the NFL. You cannot hold on to the ball for 5, 6, 7, 8. There was like a play that went for 9 seconds of him scrambling in the backfield last night. You can't do that in the NFL, son. You've been sacked 66 times this season. You can't do that.
All I had to say is, look at what Peyton Manning had his first year. Look at what some of the greats had their first years. First years are made for learning. The question is, how does he take the information that he got this year that he saw on the film that we're all able to see, in his ability to hold the ball too long and needing to make decisions quicker and be able to understand and process the defense faster. Let's see what happens in this next year, because he has enough tape now to see, and he has been, like you said, a phenomenal talent. And we have seen glimpses of him showing really good capabilities. The question is he going to work hard enough to take that next step? That is a question. He's going to get the opportunity to go in the lab.
The offseason development is going to be paramount.
Yeah.
What I want to see Caleb work on, the drills I want to be seeing worked on during the offseason, whenever I see him post on social media, because these kids do that. They do that now. It's a thing now. If they ain't posting, their trainers are posting.
He's a man.
The things that I want to be seeing, I want to see quick releases. I want to see you start accepting to take the check down. Things that I saw, especially in last night, that were wrong with Caleb, it's holding on to the ball too long. It's not throwing away the ball instead of taking the sack. You know that you don't have an offensive line. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. It's okay. It's okay. We're not going to be mad at you. Sure, it counts as an incompletion. No one gives a fuck, bro. We'd rather you make the smart football decision than not. I would like to see him take the checkdowns when available. Stop trying to play hero ball. A lot of the comparisons that Caleb Williams got prior to his NFL start was to what player? Patrick Mahomes. You want to know why? Watch last night's film. You'll see why. You see the hero ball. You see the holding on to it, the trying to extend plays with his legs. You don't have the offensive line that Patrick has. You have weapons. You don't have the protection. And the weapons that you have, kind of old, kind of long in the tooth. Keenan Allen, long in the tooth. Him and Rome Odunze are not on the same page yet. They're trying to utilize Rome Odunze as a 2 to Keenan. It shouldn't be a thing. DJ Moore does not need to be in the backfield fucking blocking. DJ Moore does not need you don't have the protection to try and utilize him like a Deebo Samuel. So a lot of the Bears' problems outside of the quarterback development that needs to take place with Caleb, which can be fixed during an off season, a couple of off seasons, off season, and playing, getting the reps. But the play calling was fucking atrocious.
Yep, and I think that's why getting this is a very pivotal point in his career, and you need to nurture his talent while still pushing forward and pushing him. And I think at this point in his career, I just don't see how you need someone that can connect with him, and you need someone that has an offensive mind. And I think that's going to be a key for the Bears. One thing that I didn't mention, because I don't
think the Bears need to be going out and getting a first-time head coach. So or even a young, flashy second-time head coach like a Cliff Kingsbury. I don't like that. I think that Ben Johnson, Ben goes somewhere else. Cliff, stay where you are. I think
I think Vrabel isn't even terrible.
Vrabel, I feel like could come in and kind of like Pete. I think that Vrabel, because he's from that old school cloth, can kind of come in and run the organization. To Aiden's comment that's here on the screen, Carroll's a guy that can kind of come in, stabilize the building, fix the culture. Right. And I think that you need that. So if you're not going to go and get Carroll, you need to go and get Vrabel. But again, you need an offensive mind.
And I hate to bring different sports up into it, but it just makes sense to it. That's exactly what they said. They said Tibbs was for the Knicks. He's just he can't get you past. But look at what he's built. That foundation you never had before. Get at least that, and that's a fucking conversation to have about. Okay, do we need to flip a guy up? We need stability here in Chicago, and they don't have anything like that. You need a proven winner to come in and say, "Fuck this stupid shit you're doing. Get rid of it. Let's start from beginning to end with a proven guy to get this shit done."
And again, culture needs to be reestablished.
Yeah.
The Bears as an organization, historically have a very rich culture.
Yeah.
Even through some of their
Yeah.
darkest of times, so to
And he
feel
is
like
a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, to feel like that they are so far away from their history, like I didn't like that when Caleb last night in the post game, he was like, yeah, well, a lot of the fans' frustrations have been here, before I've even got here. Well, no shit. Like, but what are you going to do to fix it? Like, he's like, and I understand what he's saying about, blocking out, like the noise and stuff. I need to see you start being a leader of men. Like during the offseason, I want to see him call up the wide receivers, like, guys, like, come on over and work out. I want to see him. As much as people say that Russell Wilson is corny, go check out Russell Wilson's YouTube channel. Go look at, I don't know if he did it this past year because of how convoluted things were with where he was going to end up. But his last season in Denver, that offseason, he was calling up the receivers, having them come over. He said, come on, Jerry, like, come on over. He was trying. Now, Jerry was an asshole, but he was trying. I'd much rather a guy try. You and Rome have played together a whole season. There's no reason why last night that you and him aren't on the same page on a fucking simple slant route. For Rome to not keep going and just try and live in free real estate was the dumbest shit I've ever seen as a receiver. They have a lot of things to fix. Thing is, teams don't often fail with defensive coach, then hire another defensive coach. I don't see Vrabel. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the Bears have their work made out for them, probably more, if not worse, than anyone else, because they had everything in front of them. It wasn't like they got the first round pick by sucking, so you figured that you were going to suck the next year. It was, you got that pick from Carolina. You should be able to take advantage of this and now go out and win some games.
But we knew this in the beginning about how bad Eberflus was. Like, it was a known fact that he was trash. And it was, you know what I'm saying? It's the sideline reporters knowing, hey, this is a train wreck waiting to happen, and now we have the train wreck, and now it's time to rebuild. I think the last point that I just want to add and touch on to this is on the Seattle side, because I really didn't bring it up, but Geno Smith was playing through that knee injury that he had sustained in the previous week. So that did depress the output from the Seattle team. I do still think
there was no Kenneth Walker. DK was playing like a fucking diva.
Ah, man, DK is a heartbreaker this year. Talk about screwing a lot of people over, because just and then JSN last 2 weeks definitely did not come out and give you the JSN that we've had the last couple of weeks. And again, this is because of Geno Smith's injury. So it's very interesting to see how healthy he can get before the playoffs, because if he can get healthy for the playoffs, this offense isn't that, and if Diva DK can kind of get him shit back together, and JSN and him and Lockett, that's a dynamic offense with Walker and Chardonnay. You just need a little bit of health, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. MVP awards are very close to closing. We're closing on NFL honors. I'm not really going to talk about Rookie of the Year tonight, just because it's like that's sewn up pretty much. But I do want to talk about this MVP race, because this MVP race has gotten a lot closer every week in, week out. It seems like someone new is kind of getting ready to take off with it. Lamar's having a season. Josh Allen silenced the doubters with his offensive performance, even after losing a weapon like Diggs. And then Saquon is on the precipice of breaking Eric Dickerson's single season rushing record. Who's your MVP, or who do you feel like? I don't want to say who's your MVP, because the way that we would look, the way I want to frame this is who do you feel that the AP or the league votes MVP, for the sake of people that are out there that are betting and going to be looking to get money off this? Because it's easy to say who we feel like MVPs should be, but then someone could take what we say and like go out on the books and be like, well, you said this, and it's like, okay, what I said and how an AP voter thinks are different. My opinion versus an AP voter's thought process are different. So yeah, let's approach from that standpoint.
Okay, so if I'm looking at it from the AP voter, if I'm looking at it, if I'm betting on who I think those boys are going to pick, I don't think there's really much doubt that, and again, this is the beautiful part about having more weeks still to go. As of right now, Josh Allen would still win it, in my opinion, because of the way he went out there and won. Not necessarily because of his numbers, but because of the optical performance and with the, like you said, the reduction of Diggs, and then him showing up and showing out without, the diva wide receiver, and now taking a rookie and Shakir and Kincaid and a ragtag bunch and putting up, top flight numbers. I think that is the storyline that almost, and it's going to be his first MVP. It's him overcoming, a lot of obstacles. It's the optimism for his flight forward as a top flight quarterback. So, as an AP journalist, I can see them having a new narrative to go on, versus, what we've seen, where statistically speaking, Lamar is nipping at those buds ever so closely, if not surpassing and outproducing. So I think that, statistically speaking, Lamar is probably right there. But optically speaking, I feel like we all would say that Josh Allen is that MVP because of the reduction that he had in that wide receiver room, and because you had an unproven James Cook as your lead back, and because you really can't count on that Bills defense. And he went out there time after time after time and delivered win after win after win. And in the individual matchup where you have the potential two MVPs facing each other, although they don't face each other, one-on-one, their teams are facing off. We did see the Bills, pull off the game. And I think that we have to pretty much say that, optically speaking, Josh Allen is the guy that we feel like is the guy.
It's so weird. Like this year is so weird because, and you can use the same argument that I'm about to state for even like the rookie conversation. You have individuals, players going out there and doing things and exceeding in ways that we never thought. You talk about Saquon, right? The only asterisk that you can put is, okay, well, you didn't do it in a 16 game season. Eric Dickerson did that in 16 games. So I feel like with Saquon, that's where you're able to kind of like discount him out. Getting into what you were saying, it does come down to the Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. You're saying Josh Allen, and I want to be able for this to be the year that I say Josh Allen. I would love that, especially because he's doing what he's doing. And I've been saying this all season long. One, he's doing what he's doing without Josh Allen, but I've been saying this all season long. He's playing the game like he's a kid in a fucking candy store. Like he's playing the game like he's a kid again. And he's just going out there and he's having fun, and there's something special to be spoken about that. Now, on the flip side, when we talk about Lamar Jackson exceeded his previous season last year. And he's exceeding, they gave him weapons, not in the receiving core, but they gave him weapons in the backfield. This team was supposed to be a run-first team. This team was not supposed to be a passing team. He's on the precipice of 4,000 fucking passing yards. almost 40 touchdowns this season. What does he have? 30, I want to say like he has 39 passing touchdowns. Last year, 24. Lamar has 4 interceptions this year. Last year, he had 7. Still the same passer rating, 67.9. All right. 3,955 yards this season, 3,678 last season. It's like, how does this kid not get MVP again? Lamar Jackson, the Marvelous, has to be MVP again because he became a better passer this year than like it's crazy. And this is a running quarterback as well. This is a dual threat quarterback. It almost has 4,000 fucking passing yards. After this week or after next week, he'll have 4,000 passing yards. What's good, Connor?
But when you look at the total points scored, it's like 483 for the Ravens and 469 for the Bills. And you get the Bills at 12-3 and the Ravens at 11-5. And I think at the end of the day, we know records do matter in the MVP conversation.
It's tough. It's tough, honestly. This year is severely tough when it comes to the MVP voting.
And I say these final weeks, I think that we're at the point now where it's like you're going into like the 9th and 10th rounds of a boxing fight, and you're basically saying, well, on any scorecard, you can see either fighter up around, and these last couple rounds, you're gonna need to do something to put this game away, and you don't want to put this up to the judges. So you want to go out there and make your mark, and you want to land the KO, and that is what these last final weeks are going to be. This is going to be that all-out, and let's face facts. Let's call it what it is. Josh Allen is a little hurt. Josh Allen's numbers are starting to drop off as he has been injured. This is
no. I mean, you can also see too, though, throughout just also the game log, you can see where even despite the record that Buffalo has, Buffalo, you've been playing amazing football. I am not trying to sit here and shit on you, but you look at last year's stats, you look at this year's stats. You know, I don't want to use the excuse about Josh Allen being banged up. Every player's banged up at this point in the season. Last year we were having
it's impacted his last couple of games. Like he is, playing through injury like everyone else, but it's impacted his stats. And I think that this is the point where for Lamar, and you look at the home stretch, he balls out these last couple of weeks. He can snatch this from him. He can just take that baby right away.
Overall,
especially if you're dealing with injury.
Overall, and I think that this is where when we just purely talk MVP, I think this is where the reason why Josh Allen lost last year is the same reason why he's going to lose it this year. It's not to say that he's not valuable to his team. Lamar puts so much, when it comes to just talking about this specific award, puts so much pressure on anyone else that he's in competition with. Josh Allen doesn't get it this year because he had a worse season than last year. So it makes no sense to give it to him this year.
Its award is not based on last year's numbers or this year's numbers.
But here's the thing. Because these two have been battling out for year in, year out. Lamar has the better numbers. So you have to give it. You got to go by that. You got to go by that.
Wait, he has a better record?
Record isn't purely determined by the quarterback. It's not purely determined by the quarterback. Because the way the AP voters are going to look at it is they're both important to their teams. They're just if you remove either, you can't use the whole. If you remove one person from their team, if you remove either of them from their teams.
But you laid it out specifically. Not only do I have a better record, I lost my weapons.
He lost any weapon.
You took away my biggest weapon.
You gave
I
Lamar
want
weapon
Gabe
that was
Davis
supposed to
too.
make
I
it to where
want
he
two
wasn't
weapons.
supposed to pass. That's the thing.
I
You
want my wide receiver 1 and my wide receiver 2.
exactly. Yeah, the things Lamar does goes beyond the stat sheet. Extending plays, making the pass rush look silly. He's legitimately the best player in football. Lamar B. Allen wiped the floor. Bro, when I'm looking at these stats, like when I'm looking at the stats, it's light years. Like we're purely talking regular season. It is light years. A 121.6 QBR is fucking crazy. That's insane. That's what I'm gonna take the QB with the 121.6 over the QB with the 106. Or with the 101.6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Listen, you just remember this. Analytics, they don't win Super Bowls. Players win Super Bowls.
but
Players gotta play.
MVPs are regular season awards.
I'm agreeing with
So
you.
we're not talking
But you're
about
not gonna
Super Bowls. If now a Josh Allen, now who has a chance at getting to a Super Bowl more or less likely, that's a different conversation because now we're starting to talk about teams, we're starting to talk about schemes, we're starting to talk about a lot of different things. There's whole different stat categories that factor into that.
Yep.
There's a lot. We're talking about an MVP, we're talking about a regular season award for a regular season. Lamar's my MVP. On the other side, we do have to talk about the NFL playoff picture. We are going to get in a very quick, brief halftime. Like you guys are going to get one music video and a commercial, then we're right back. All right. We are going to go on a quick break, and we will see y'all soon. Right after a music video and these messages and a quick message. Let me see what I want to play. Wow.
Hop out in Miami when no land, ain't got no understanding. Out of here, I'm burning, or turn me up, you can't understand it. In the club, posted up, they lit up, no matter where I'm standing. Drop GLD for the Cuban link, yeah, you see it there. Might spaz out on some taller shit, don't want zero tolerance. Money conversations ain't hard to relate, it's hollering. See my net, they acknowledge it, good friend, go where you're not.
Alrighty. Woof. We are back. Quick breather. Let's get it. Alrighty. So just gonna wait on Taco to get right back here. Just to recap, we talked about the Netflix games. We reviewed that. We reviewed Thursday Night Football, and we went over our MVP award votes. So make sure you guys go back, check out all of that footage. Let's jump on over to our NFL playoff picture. Things are really, really starting to heat up. In the AFC, we have the Colts, Dolphins, and surprisingly, the Bengals are all licking their chops looking at the Broncos and Chargers to get in. And over in the NFC, the Seahawks and the Buccaneers are staring up at the Rams, Falcons, and Commanders. We're going to start over in the AFC, who's getting in, and then we'll circle back over to the NFC. So starting with the AFC, we have some implications, bro. We do have some playoff implications, starting with Denver versus the Bengals. You good?
Yeah.
There you go. All righty. So yeah, we got Denver versus the Bengals. I mean, Chargers versus the Patriots this week. That'll pretty much be easy. Denver, should they lose to the Bengals, would have a 61% chance of making it in. Currently, they're sitting at a 75% chance. If they win, kind of pretty much punch their ticket. It's a 99% chance they get in. Same with the Chargers. If they win this week against the Patriots, 99% chance they get in. Colts face the Giants. A win gets them a 19% chance. Dolphins face Cleveland, 13% chance if they win. And then Bengals, Broncos, 11% chance if they get in. Thoughts on how things shape up? We could actually go through and even do picks with this.
Well, I think we discussed this not too long ago. And I think that what we basically spoke about came true with the Broncos winning and with the way things worked out for the Chargers, that I really don't foresee anything happening that could possibly mess up the Broncos' chances at making the playoffs. Same with with the Chargers.
I don't know.
You're telling me they'd have to lose out both games, and then we're talking about a tiebreaker. They have a two game lead. They win this game, it's over.
They have to beat Cincinnati this week, I feel. I think that things get very convoluted for the Broncos very quick. I think that seventh seed is more likely to be lost, than that sixth seed, just because the Chargers' remaining schedule is a lot easier. Whereas the Broncos have what? They have Cincinnati this week, which I think that is going to be tough. Then they have the Chiefs. So they have to beat the Bengals, and Broncos pretty much damn near have to win out. Well, they have to win this week for the most part. It's a 38.5% win probability. The Bengals do have top receiver on their team. Sack on their defensive side. And hear me out. And they do have the passing leader. The Bengals have lost some very, very close games. That's really due to offensive play and a lack of a secondary. But the Bengals are a team that can hang around. The Bengals are a team to where when you play them, it really comes down to who has the ball last. I fear for the Broncos this week.
They also have no defense. And if you look at the Broncos, they put up 27, 31, 41, 29, 38.
against a team that can do that offensively, that can do that same thing. That's why I'm saying that this game this week comes down to who has the ball last.
There's a possibility of that, but I'll say this: do the Chiefs even suit up everybody for that final game of the season if you've clinched the bye and you have a banged up Mahomes?
Probably not. Which now that leaves up to scenario, which then leaves it up to scenarios for the Broncos, which scenarios could play out in their favor. But we've also seen before where scenarios could get very convoluted, and someone could. I don't want my. It's like letting a fight go to the judges. It's like letting a fight go to the scorecards. I don't want my playoff chances going towards the ability of some other team playing spoiler.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Like, because you do have teams out there that can and will play spoiler. I feel like Cincinnati is one of those teams right now that they're not thinking about the draft. If they even have a glimmer of a chance of getting in, they're going to try and go for it. I think that Cincinnati is walking into this game against Denver thinking that I think that they're saying to themselves, guys, we have a lot that's been going right for us this season. There's been some things that have been going wrong. This Sunday, let's just try that. This week, let's just try and focus on what's going right, and let's just get this win. If we get this win, there's a chance that we could get in. Miami has been a very streaky team. They're going up against Cleveland. Cleveland likes to randomly pop out and show niggas. Now, Cleveland's playing with DTR at QB, not Jameis Winston. So you're not going to get the same Cleveland Browns. So I do think that Miami still wins. Miami, that gives them a 13% chance. I do think that the Colts beat the Giants. I do not think the Giants are trying to win. I think the Giants scenario comes down to that final week where the Eagles can sit back and be like, hey, we're going to play, Pickett or McKee and just crash out and lose. And I think that Philly tries to fuck over New York's chances at the number one pick in the draft. Because if New York loses that week 18, if New York wins that week 18, then they fall to number 6.
Wait, what?
If New York loses week 18, you guys fall from 1 to 6.
If we lose or if we win?
Or if you win, not if you lose, if you win. So I see Philly kind of sitting everybody, for that. And I could see, like you guys aren't gonna beat the Colts. The Colts are trying to get in. The Colts are trying their fucking damnedest to shut Pat McAfee up and get in. A 19% chance. If the Bengals can beat Denver, Colts get a win, Bengals get a win. It shakes things up in the AFC. That 7th seed is a very live dog, I feel like. Because if Denver loses, that drops to a 61% chance. That's a massive drop-off. Then have to face the Chiefs and leave things up to scenario. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm like, I don't want to face a division rival at all at any given point in the playoffs. So, yeah, let's get them the fuck out of here and let's win that last game. And then you also have to think about how many players on the Chiefs.
Who was the tiebreaker, though? Because they end up all with the same record.
You also have to remember the incentives. Players are playing for incentives, too.
I get that, but what's the tiebreaker scenario? Because at worst, the Bengals would tie. And would you really want to see fucking Joe Burrow? Give me Bo Nix in the playoffs over Joe Burrow. If you tell me, yeah, you get to eliminate the Broncos so the Bengals could be in the playoffs. Fuck you. I'm sitting my guys.
So these are notable scenarios according to CBS. Chargers at Patriots. Chargers clinch playoff berth with a win. Broncos, Bengals. Denver clinches playoff berth with a win. Falcons, Commanders. Washington clinches playoff berth with a win. Cowboys, Eagles. Philly clinches the NFC East title with a win. Out of all the ones that I just listed, the Broncos Bengals is the scariest fucking game. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson are not laying down without putting up a fight. Denver has lost close games before. So I get a little worried. Rightfully so. You're picking the Broncos
to win this game. Yeah, I feel pretty confident right now that the Broncos are going to be able to do what they need to do versus this inept Bengals defense.
All right. I'm Matt with the member for 27 months. Yo, it's Matt's membership anniversary. Dilly. Let's go. Merry belated Exodus Robbie. Hey, appreciate it. Merry belated Christmas to you. I am going to go on record. I am going to pick Cincinnati. I don't think that the NFL loves parity. I don't think the NFL gives us as relaxing week 18 as we want. I think that people like you and I would want to head into week 18 just getting ready for the playoffs. I don't think the NFL is going to let that happen. I can see the refs toying with the Broncos this game, toying with Sean Payton this game.
Like, welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. I got Cincinnati beating the Broncos. I don't think that top 7, though, like I said last week, I don't think that it shakes up too bad. Because I do think the Broncos come back. They beat the Chiefs the following week just to get in, or either some crazy scenario works out to where, they end up getting. I don't think that we have too much to worry about in the AFC. Now in the NFC, you still got 3 available playoff spots. We were talking about the NFC West earlier. What do you think happens? I mean, Rams face Cardinals this week. The Cardinals very streaky. Very, very, very streaky. The Cardinals are technically eliminated at 7-8.
This shit is wild that the Falcons have fucking bumped their way up, but then the Falcons got this game versus the Commanders, and the Commanders are 10-5, have a good hold on the playoff spot. So it's one of those things where if the Commanders lose, they're pretty safe. But if the Falcons lose, then the Bucks probably pop right back up. So it's a kind of crazy matchup right now. With the NFC South, as usual, there's nothing different here than any other year, coming down to like the last weekend with 500 teams that are trying to sneak into the playoffs, and they're gonna get a home seed game probably. So I mean, we got all the guys that were gonna lock it up. The Rams popped up because Seattle couldn't deliver. And I think that I think that Rams probably beat the Cards, puts them 10-6. Shit, man. We might be seeing the Rams, the Falcons, and the Commanders hold face.
The Cardinals are so weird because
I think they're gonna try to play spoiler, but I just believe in McVay, man. I just think he's just fucking that good.
McVay's gonna make sure that he locks in.
Yeah. Him and Stafford, man.
I do have the Rams beating the Cardinals, which is so disappointing because if we remember a couple episodes back, I was like, "Yo, the Cardinals can really take away with this thing. It can really run away with this thing." The Cardinals, kind of like every year, they're always just right there. Hopefully, maybe next year they can break through. They're eliminated. I don't see any reason why the Rams don't just take advantage of the fact that they're eliminated, completely demoralize them. Of course, the Cardinals are going to try and play for a moral victory. That's what Arizona does. Good old Phoenix Cardinals. That really used to be their name back in the 90s for those that aren't old. I told somebody that the other day. I was like, yeah, well, because they were wearing the old Cardinals jersey from like the 90s, like the old 90s one. And I was like, oh shit, like the all whites. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I've been a Cardinals fan my whole life. It's like, they used to be called the Phoenix Cardinals, not the Arizona Cardinals. He's like, yeah, actually, I did know that. I was like, oh fuck, hey, nice. So no, but I do have the Rams beating the Cardinals. Shout out to the NFL for getting the whole flex thing right. For giving us primetime Commanders Falcons. We're gonna be live for that. I'm gonna be live for that.
It's kind of crazy that they make the QB switch, and now this rookie is getting put into a playoff push without much experience. So it'll be interesting to see how we can navigate these waters, because it's going to be very like, holy shit, this is my first time playing, and now they're going to be adjusting to me, and it's going to be playoff defense adjusting me to. Now it's going to be exotic schemes. It's going to be wrinkles in what they've already shown me.
In a weird way, it's fucked up. In a weird way, you know how like we talk about QB development and shit?
Yeah.
Like, you know what this does mentally? Like,
bro, this is what I'm saying.
If Penix, like what I don't want to happen. Obviously, I want Washington to win the game. What I don't want to happen, because I have Penix in Dynasty, and this is purely fantasy talk that I'm about to get into. Not purely fantasy talk. There's a little, how you squeeze a lime into your beer. This little squeeze of fantasy into this. I don't want, because Penix is thrown into this scenario, for it to fuck with his psyche, because we've seen this before. So I think that it was all fun and games last week when it was like, okay, well, like, you're a Giants fan, like your team's, you guys are ready for the draft, like we know what you're trying to do,
I was ready from the draft since the preseason.
So, like, it's not. I don't think that Kirk Cousins would give them an edge on winning, but I think that Penix gives a little bit of an edge, but at the same time, it's like, hey, that's still a rookie. And on the other side that rookie is throwing, that rookie was playing against, for the most part, a second-string Giants defense last week. He's going against Wagner, Luvo, Jeremy Chin, Fowler. You're lucky that Marshawn Lattimore is out this week and returns on January 5th. Like, that's a lot to go against. Like, you have the league's third ranked sack leader. You got Luvo, who's probably going to be a Pro Bowler. Wagner, who's a veteran and just thumps. He's been thumping since the Legion of Boom. Jeremy Chin, who's an incredible safety. If I'm Penix, I'm just saying I'm just going to target St. Juice. The only corner that I'm throwing towards is St. Juice, because he's trash. Like, but I mean, other than that, I mean, Atlanta doesn't have that great of a defense. They don't have a good defense. Jaden Daniels is probably going to do Jaden Daniels things against that team. God is good, though. He'll definitely be back. For Tank. Yeah, Tank will be back probably middle of next year. It's unfortunate. Tank Dell's had a rough year between getting shot, coming back from an injury, then getting injured again. Like, my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, shit, even the offseason, when you add Diggs to the equation, when you think you're going to step up and be the man, And now you have to figure out how you navigate a 3 wide receiver room. And I get it. It's good for the team, but when young players see the opportunity to finally make some money and make a name for themselves, that can't be easy. I'm just sorry. That can't be easy. That's that's your chicken.
Yep. You touched on the Buccaneers earlier, Taco.
Mm-hmm.
What I find fascinating when I look at the numbers, 62% probability should they beat Carolina. Carolina has been playing damn good football down the stretch. Of course, the record hasn't been showing it, but we're film guys here. We know that they're just,
Chuba.
Yeah, they're just a couple. That team is looking great. That team could be something to be feared next year.
I really appreciate the development that's going on with Young. You have to admit
that's Canellis for you. That's Canellis.
You can see, and that's what you call coaching, and that's a situation where losing is acceptable. You know why? Because you're seeing an improvement in your guy. Where you're like, okay,
well, Canellis is installing culture. Canellis is also installing culture.
Yep. Like this is one of those years where it's like you may lose, but you don't feel terrible about it. You're like, we're finally maybe figuring this shit out. Like we have a good draft, maybe sign someone, and we keep this momentum in the division. Like we could fucking
a good draft. A good draft.
If we're 500, we might have a shot at winning.
Yeah, a good draft, a good free agencies could go a long way for Carolina.
Yep.
Although I don't think that Carolina plays spoiler against the Bucs. I think the Bucs win, Falcons lose. I think the Bucs get in, and the NFC playoff picture changes. Back to how we were talked about it last week, with Bucs being there at the 4 seed. Washington remains at 7. Rams come in at 3 because someone has to take that division.
Yeah. Now the only thing is there's the 2 wild card scenarios in this, and by wild card I mean like crazy shit. If Arizona is able to pull off that game, shit gets funky.
If Arizona pulls that off, Seattle has an open shot.
Yep. And then if the Falcons can win this game, they get their shot. They have it. This is a rookie, like he can make a rookie like bow. Like, okay, I may not have rookie of the year standings, but you know what? I have rookie of the year game. Like, when you look at this game, you're like, that's a rookie of the year type performance.
If things work out the way that and I love the scenario that you brought up because that's anarchy and I love anarchy. But if things remain how I feel like it ends up with, Rams, Tampa, Washington, I think that you have a couple of live dogs when these playoffs start to really, really talk about, because these are teams that go out any given Sunday and they can compete with the Lions, the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Packers. I think the conversation about who comes out of the NFC is significantly more compelling after this week than when we talk about the AFC. With the AFC, we know that the Chiefs are going to, do Chiefs things. We know the refs may, kind of bail them out.
Oh, Jesus.
Look, hey, going with narratives here. Bills, we would love to see get over the hump. We know what happens with the Bills. Same. Like the AFC, it's like it's something about the AFC already feels predetermined. Like I don't see the Broncos. I don't see the Chargers.
Well, I'll say this.
I don't see Houston.
The AFC has heavyweight fights. Like, you know what I mean? When you have Lamar versus Josh Allen in the playoffs, that's a heavyweight fight. When you have either one of those guys against Mahomes, that's a heavyweight fight. And then the Steelers, just because of who they are, they'll be like, okay, we'll give you some credence, but you have 3 real heavyweight teams out there, and everyone.
Yeah, you have 3 heavyweights. Yeah, you have 3 heavyweights in the AFC. In the NFC,
it's all shit can happen. Anyone, anywhere, anytime.
All sharks.
And I think the Vikings could walk into Detroit and be on some Kirk Cousins shit.
I could literally develop a narrative for every single team in the NFC as to how they can get to the dance. I cannot do that with the AFC.
Nope. It's a 3-team.
I have to find ways. I have to find ways to make an argument for other teams.
Yep.
Like I have to dig deep for those teams. The NFC is not hard to dig deep.
Nope.
Like I'm sorry. If Washington has to face Philly in the first round, and if Washington were to beat Philly, I would not be shocked. You know how hard it is to beat someone 3 times in a row?
I'll say this though: a healthy Eagles team to me is probably the scariest team because of her dual threat capabilities and the fact that they had been there before. So there's a chip on your shoulder. You have
what
two
worries me about the
receivers.
Eagles is Sirianni.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like,
no.
like the Lions are scary because no matter what happens to them in regards to injuries, that next man up is just as deadly.
Yep. But I'll say this: the thing about the Lions is just like there's just something about Detroit that until they do it, no one's gonna believe it. And Dan Campbell is a man that likes to gamble just a little bit too much for me.
I don't believe in that.
If it wasn't for Gambling Dan reminding us like Riverboat Ron.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think that enough has been done especially with a lot of the teams in the NFC, Lions, Eagles, Vikings, to name 3. Enough has been done to where you could look at these teams and you can be like, you might be able to finally defy history. The Lions might be able to finally get one. The Eagles could be able to tack on another one. The Vikings could, as long as the Vikings can avoid getting into any situation that's relying on their kicker, Gary Anderson, that's a shot at you. They can do it.
Bro, the Vikings have the same record as the fucking Lions, for God's sake.
Yeah. The Packers are playing such good team football, and that defense for the Packers is so clutch. Like, it is on. There are live. I feel like the whole NFC, all dogs.
I'll say this: the NFC North really made me eat some crow, because before I was talking about how I really believe in the AFC West. I mean, the NFC West is being like that cream that would rise, but these guys in the NFC North. I mean, look at it. You got the Lions at 13-2. You got the Vikings at 13.
The playoffs run to the north. Run to the north.
You know what I mean? And the Eagles are just sitting there like, we've been here. Like, and now the difference with the Eagles is you got fucking Saquon Barkley. Like, this is the same shit, different story for the Eagles. They get to the playoffs. There was always a top seed. This is what they do. But now you have Saquon fucking Barkley here.
The Eagles have to try and not be the Ravens of the NFC.
Yeah.
They can't come
that's
short.
What they are. That's what they are.
And a lot about, like, you know, the Eagles kind of what made me so crazy about the Eagles this past week.
That would be a crazy Super Bowl, though.
What made me so crazy about the Eagles this past week is when it came out today that Jalen wasn't going to play this week, is how Eagles fans reacted. I mean, first off, Eagles fans are going to Eagles fans, right? Dirty Bird's going to Dirty Bird.
How many of them are fantasy managers?
Yeah. What I didn't like about it is you guys are already in a good scenario. You're in a good place. Don't try and push your luck. Like, let the man rest the next 2 weeks, to be honest, so that when you do have to face Washington that first round of the playoffs, you don't have an excuse. Because I'm sorry, that loss against Washington, it's not because, Jalen Hurts went out, so that's why. And no, you guys shot yourselves in the fucking foot. Devontae Smith dropped your game-winning pass. Kenny Pickett has started NFL games before. It's not like you just threw in a random backup. How many years have you guys bullied on backups to get into the fucking playoffs? So that whole narrative I did not like. Eagles fans like to try and twist shit. to make themselves feel better or sleep at night. The whole let's fire Sirianni thing, I think, is fucking stupid and asinine. The guy's winning you games. Shut up and enjoy your wins. Oh, well, I didn't like how the win came out. Are you special? Eagles fans eat shit whenever they win, so literally they ate the horse's poop when they won the Super Bowl last. Like, they literally did that. They had to grease the fucking telephone poles or the light poles because people were crawling them. But this whole narrative that the only reason why they lost, no, your defense crumbled. Zach Bond fucked up in zone coverage. If you could catch the Eagles on a couple of plays, I think that Washington exposed that Eagles defense. If you could catch them lacking, all right now. Brad, unfortunately, Dan Campbell will not be facing the Eagles in the first round, so it won't be a first-round TKO. The Vikings have such a cupcake schedule. Not to the playoffs, they won't. Once it's in the playoffs, it's nothing but dogs. In the NFC, anyone can win on any given day. I haven't seen you since the win. I want to personally thank you as a Lions fan for beating the Eagles. We got you. We got you. A lot of Lions fans messaged me personally, and they were happy. Okay, so just a review. I have Rams. You have Rams?
I have Rams.
I have Washington. You have Falcons?
I have Anarchy. I'm going with the Falcons.
You're going with Falcons?
I'm going with Falcons.
Do we have to pick Buccaneers, Carolina?
I mean, we know the Bucs are going to beat Carolina.
Bro, you want real anarchy? Washington beats Atlanta. Cowboys beat Philly. Cowboys beat Philly with no CD Lamb.
Man, bro, the fantasy playoffs this year has been some fucking minefield. Like, Jesus Christ.
I know, I'm playing Mike in a championship.
Bro,
in the staff league.
It's just every time you turn around, it's just some other nonsensical bullshit.
Really quick, we've talked about futures of quarterbacks that have exceeded their expectations before throughout the season. It seems like that has been an ongoing theme with quarterbacks that have exceeded their expectations. We won't say an ongoing theme because it's really only a couple of guys that have done this. For example, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold. Tonight, my question isn't about those two guys. Tonight, my question is about a QB in a similar situation, Russell Wilson. Should Pittsburgh continue with Wilson, or is Fields the guy next year?
We honestly fucking they need to set someone else. Can I get an option 3? I know it's definitely not Fields. I know
they won't be high enough to get an elite quarterback, an elite draft prospect. They won't be high enough to get an elite draft.
But it is like you said before. A lot of teams have drafted QBs or signed QBs where it could be a situation that they can make a move. I also think that when you look at the situation with the Vikings, you're going to have to do something with either one of these guys. So maybe I trade for the rookie, or maybe I sign Sam Darnold. I like Russell
Vikings
Wilson.
Situation is situational because it's dependent on how far Sam Darnold gets you in the playoffs.
I agree, but I think that if Sam Darnold becomes free, and you're the Steelers, I think that at this point is an upgrade over Russell, because of the age, and I think that Sam Darnold is starting to flash the talent that we saw that got him drafted so high. I think Sam Darnold has always been a talented player.
And he's at the breakout age right now to where you kind of invest in a quarterback.
Yeah. Like, everything about Sam Darnold screams to me like the Vikings would be fucking stupid if they let that man walk out the fucking building at this point in time. You do not experiment with fucking this situation. Like, Sam Darnold shouldn't be on the market, in my opinion.
With Darnold, you don't have to pay. You just have to pay him at what the market is set right now. You don't have to give him the big one. I don't think that Darnold's agent is going to walk in and be like, I want top of the market dollar. Like just like Brock Purdy's agent, I don't think that Brock Purdy's agent is going to walk in and be like, I want top. Just give me the mic, because right now the market is set at about 60 mil. The market is set at about 60 mil for a quarterback.
What you've done throughout your career, and knowing that you have a great situation with Addison, with Hawkinson, with fucking Jefferson, where you could just sit back and like play football and build yourself up and rebound from the years that you had with the Jets that really ruined your early part of your career and the way people looked at you. And then from a Vikings perspective, you can't trade Sam Darnold at this point in time. So that asset is going to walk out of your door without you getting anything for it. But if you sign Sam Darnold,
I don't think he has a no trade clause. I think
he's a free agent. He's going to walk out.
He's a free agent. Yeah, he can
That's
just
what
walk.
I'm saying. If you don't sign him, he walks out the door to anyone. But if you sign him, now JJ becomes a trade chip where you can get another valuable asset because he has 4 years left on his rookie contract that you can get something very valuable for
JJ
him.
doesn't become a trade asset because if Darnold does work out and if Darnold gets you one this year, you want to be able to have JJ in your back pocket to run a dynasty. Because you got to think about it from the business standpoint. These teams, they get extra revenue for how deep they go. So if they can go Super Bowl, we're just talking about appearances. We're not talking about wins. If they can go bowl, close to when it's time to transition to JJ,
I think that you're looking at Sam Darnold being young enough that you don't have to really look at the transition. I say you go for the gusto. In a division where you're seeing so many teams where you still have to figure out how you're going to beat the Chiefs.
With the number for the quarterback market right now.
And does he get the market now?
The market's only going to grow. So for me, if I'm a team, knowing what the economics are going to be moving forward,
so what do you think Sam Darnold gets?
Right now, everyone's getting around 60. So 60 is your base.
You think he's going to get the Trevor
He's going to get the base. He's going to get the base. Yeah. Right. That's just the way. Like so now, just prepare yourself. Yeah. That's the base. That's the base. I think that Sam Darnold's agent, same thing with what I think that Brock Purdy's agent is going to do. It's going to be, we'll take the base. We'll take 60. So like in the media, 60 sounds crazy because we haven't adjusted to what the new salary cap is, which the salary cap has been in place for the last 2 years.
What portion
so we should be caught up with it? Huh?
What portion of the cap would 60 million be?
Quarterbacks
33?
Quarterbacks are taking up a hefty always take up a hefty portion. So the portions don't change. The number that a position gets changes. So it's still the same. Like it's still
they're getting a bigger portion than they used to. You never used to allocate more.
The number, so the number changes, but like the portion for the most part, I think like quarterbacks get like I want to say like 60% or some crazy shit. Like it's like a crazy fucking
60% of the whole budget.
Let me see,
because that when you look at it, then if you're the fucking Vikings, you might actually just might have to let Sam walk. Because that's fucking ridiculous. If you're telling me I have to pay you now $60 million off of one good year for multiple years,
it's about 20%. It's about 20 to 25%. Low end 20, high end 25. So right now the market's at 60. 25% of your budget goes towards your quarterback.
Like if I can get 3 years at $50 million a pop, I would do it. I'd do that. 3 years at $50 million.
No one at the QB position is gonna get paid that, bro. The fact that 60 was asinine. I'm drunk.
Bro. I don't know. I think that's not that bad.
But
because he only has 1 year. That's the thing that I could say. And those guys have young pedigree where he fucked up.
It would have to be a scenario of either so you know, we talk. They're in a scenario where it's either they walk or they stay. Pittsburgh, they're in a unique situation because they can walk and just move to the next guy.
Yep. I'll tell you this though, Fields ain't it. Fields is not the next guy. Fields cannot throw downfield. Fields is AR, but
Fields can. No, here's the thing: sitting a season behind Russell Wilson, we don't know what that's done. He looked damn good those first couple of games.
He looked good enough to hold off Wilson.
He doesn't have to be Russell Wilson to win. He doesn't have to be Russell Wilson to win football games.
No.
If paying Russell Wilson is going to require me dropping that 60 mil.
Oh God, no way he should require.
Or if paying Russell Wilson even because I know that Russell Wilson is not going to take another veteran minimum. If I'm the Steelers, I know that Wilson is going to be wanting a contract.
If he gets $20 million a year, I think that's respectable.
What is he, a wide receiver?
No, but he's also not that grown, and he doesn't have that many options.
Again, 25%. So
I'm not giving him anywhere near top end money. If he wants that, I let him walk, and then I'll play with Fields, and I'll sign someone else. He's not getting more than Sam Darnold.
If I'm Pittsburgh, it's see how far we can go. Yeah. Nice, man. I'm proud of you, George. I'm proud of you.
I think that's a good thing.
If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, personally, no matter how far we make it in the playoffs, it's bring back Russell Wilson at least for 2 years. Let's see how low we can meet in the middle. Let's see if we can meet in the middle somewhere between the agent and the organization and move from there. And I'm not letting Justin Fields go. Because if I'm Pittsburgh, because backup quarterbacks take up about 10%. So if I'm Pittsburgh, I already have my backup in place, plus I have my starter. Plus I now get consistency out of both of those guys. So I'm still getting development out of Fields, who was a former first-round pick, behind Russell, at least for a little bit of extra time, so that if anything happens to Russell, I can now just install a guy who has had about a year and some change underneath the system to go in, versus me going to get a rookie who's not going to understand a Tomlin system.
I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. Rookie quarterbacks do not flourish in Tomlin's system. They don't. They don't.
Well, I mean,
it's proven.
Look at the rookies they drafted. But
Kenny Pickett played damn good football last year or last week underneath Sirianni's system. He did not do that for Pittsburgh.
If you look at Fields, if he doesn't get the starting spot, he's going to be another backup. He's going to be a career backup for the most part.
What's wrong with that?
Is that what you want for your career?
I'd be perfectly fucking fine being a backup. You know how much backups they pay?
A first-round pick like Justin Fields wants that? That's what I'm saying, bro. I don't see it. You're getting one or the other. You're not getting both this year.
I don't think that Fields gives a fuck because Fields knows.
Fields is a fucking good kid, but at the end of the day, he has
I don't think that Fields cares about starting. I do not think that Fields cares about starting.
It would be a problem to me if he doesn't have that hunger to go out there and get it.
Look at how
at that point, Fields should just call it a career.
You have plenty of quarterbacks are okay being. You have plenty of quarterbacks that have.
I'm sorry, if he doesn't have the balls to go out there right now in this season and say, "Hey, I'm going to go out there."
Who is he going to play for? Who is he going to play for?
Bro, there's so many teams that are going to need a quarterback. Because
who is he going to play for?
Lord knows what the Jets are going to be doing.
If I'm Justin Fields, I'm going to stay a backup. I'm not going to the Jets. Why would you go to the Jets?
Because you want to play. You need tape. You want to show what you can do.
No, I can just collect the paycheck and go win a ring. I collect the paycheck and go win a ring.
Devontae Adams, Bryce Hall, and fucking what do we call it? Garrett Wilson.
And who the fuck is going to be my offensive coordinator? And why am I going to work for a shitty owner who lets a 17-year-old son run around and dictate shit?
Because it's better than.
There's nothing better. There's nothing. in no universe will having a job with the Jets be better than you're better off
Who
being the
the fuck
water
are
boy for the
Titans going to start
the
next year?
water boy
Who
for
are
the
the
Steelers
Tennessee Titans starting next year
time.
quarterback?
The water boy for the fucking Steelers has a better
Robbie.
time than any player in the Jets.
Robbie, who are the Tennessee Titans starting at quarterback?
I would not want to play for Tennessee either.
Who are the New Orleans Saints starting at quarterback?
The Saints might be an interesting dynamic. That would be interesting. Here's the thing. The Saints are probably going to draft a quarterback.
Not everyone can draft a quarterback. That's going to be good.
Justin Fields for the Saints is going to be probably not great.
You know what, though? That's still a starting opportunity. And that's what I'm saying. The Steelers, I don't think they get an opportunity to sign both. Someone is going to give them an opportunity to start. Have to. It just makes sense.
The Steelers will be able to have enough cap to where, as a backup, they'll give him.
You know what they're going to do?
You know what the Steelers are going to do? The Steelers are going to do exactly what the Eagles did.
I'll tell you this. If
the
Fields,
Steelers are going to do what they did with Nick Foles, exactly what they did with Nick Foles.
Then Justin Fields' career is over.
I don't know. I'm not going to.
I don't
maybe
think
as a player.
I don't think this kid wants
maybe
that.
as a player. Maybe as a player.
I don't think this kid wants that though. That's why I say he'll take the worst.
Teddy Bridgewater has an amazing football story, an amazing football career.
But Teddy Bridgewater got hurt. If he didn't get hurt like that, it would have been different.
Just because you don't start does not mean that your football career is over. Does not mean that your football story is over.
I am not saying that, but he is not willing to concede that yet. He should not be willing to concede that yet.
George said loss hurts and potentially Richardson too. Do you like? No, I don't like O'Connell. Rudolph is. I would probably play Flacco. I would play Flacco because of the matchup. Flacco's your best option because of the matchup. Like I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that, but if I were to rank these three, it would be Flacco, Rudolph, and then O'Connell. The Colts are playing the Giants. Flacco's going to torch the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's face it, Flacco has these flashes of brilliance, particularly after him being out for a little bit. So I'm just personally, if I'm gonna roll the dice here, I would gravitate towards the Flacco pack.
Here's the thing: the Giants have to lose. The Giants have to. There's already a report. There's literally already a report that is out that Philly is. It's not. The words aren't that they're going to throw it. The words are that they might sit players. In other words, Philly's going to throw Week 18 to screw over New York. So New York has to lose this week. New York has to lose this week.
We'll just hit more players.
Bro, did you see that? Did you see that, Taco?
What?
That report that came out that the Eagles are going to bench everyone on Week 18 so that you guys they said the reason why they're doing it is so that you don't get the number one pick.
I mean, if that's going on, then isn't that like colluding and like tanking and like fucking getting their pick? And
it's tanking. No, you can only get penalized for tanking as if you purposely choose to tank
or throwing a game. Like
they're arresting their players for the playoffs.
Well, all of a sudden, my guys have injuries too.
Then I need 2 wide receivers and a flex between Cup, Jennings, Reed, McMillan, and Ford, Tracy. So what you want to be doing is Cup is going to ball out because they need to lock in that playoff position. So Cup, automatic. McMillan, I feel like pretty automatic as well, just because the Buccaneers, they're trying to lock in a playoff spot. They're fighting for a playoff spot. Baker wants that bad. So that really kind of answers what's going to happen for you at flex. I would say Reed. Well, Reed hasn't been great. Jennings playing for incentives. So I mean, you could probably place Jennings out there. I'd probably say Cup, Jennings, McMillan. Playoff time in fantasy football, when you're setting a lineup, you really want to be focusing on players that are chasing incentives. You really want to be focusing on players that are chasing playoff seedings. That's kind of really what you want to be doing. Even though the Packers kind of have the Packers already have theirs sewn up, they're pretty much good. Juwan Jennings being on a team that's already eliminated, but still playing for an incentive, so that's where you can kind of get off starting him. Yeah, but Rudolph gets the Jags and has at least started recently. Flacco will get that done for you. Flacco will get that done for you.
I'll be honest with you. I might be a little bit fucking crazy. You know, I might be a little fucking crazy. But McMillan right now is on a heater, bro. And
that's not crazy.
And when you look at these other guys and what they've been doing, I think there's no way that McMillan can't be in this lineup. I think he has to be in this lineup. I don't think there's any way that you can not play McMillan. Now the other guys, how you wrap everyone out is kind of crazy because Cup and Jennings, you can make a case for either one of them. Reed, I mean, that's the whole problem with the Packers is, again, you can make a case for any of them any given Sunday.
Cup you play because, one, the matchup against the Cardinals. Two, they need to win for the seeding, so you know he's going to get fed.
And he's pedigree, so I can see that.
And he has an incentive that he's playing for. And he has an incentive.
And then I would it gets tricky here with the last one because I want to say Tracy because of his work opportunity and that I saw that one catch that he made at the back of the end zone in the other game. He does have that anytime touchdown upside as well. But Gary Endo seems to also offer that. So I'd probably be between one of those guys more than likely. But yeah, I mean, and they got Singletary for a relatively low cost. I mean, when you look at it, Sean didn't have the worst draft, but I don't know what happens next season, even if he gets a shot to draft again. I think he probably will, though.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, you guys could fuck around and end up with a better back than either of those two next season.
Yeah.
So, like, no need to kind of, like, entertain it at the moment as, like, what happens.
The offensive line.
Yeah, there's so many things to worry about other than a running back for the Giants right now, like a quarterback and an offensive line. Asking about a running back for next year is crazy.
But I don't think they'll do anything to really like diminish him. He'll still have a role, like for dynasty perspective. How big of a role? I mean, I think that'll be subject to, like Marabi said, so many other things, like maybe free agency, maybe draft, this and that. But I think that they like him, and I think he's shown enough to have like at least a 1A, 1B type of scenario, much like maybe what you see with like the Commanders. Brian Robinson, and then you get yourself an Austin Eckler type instead of Singletary, or you hope Singletary kind of comes back around. But that definitely seems right.
George, I would play out of those for your flex. I'm playing Jennings. I'm playing Jennings because he's playing for an incentive. Brock Purdy's the type of guy that he's going to try and get Jennings an incentive.
That is something that makes me lean towards him as well, because if you playing for money and I'm playing for money, we on the same page.
Exactly.
I can fuck with that.
Exactly. And in playoff time, I always play players that are playing for us on teams that are players that are on teams that are eliminated. I always play players that are playing for an incentive. I'm leaning towards Richardson being out, so I'm going to go Flacco and Sua, which is gross. It's not gross for fantasy if it wins. Names do not matter if it wins. I've said this so time and time again. If James Conner is playing, do I start him, or am I benching him for Tracy Garendo at 4. You're playing James Conner.
Last week, he fucking beat my ass by himself. That man is a fucking bad man.
You're playing James Conner.
You don't fucking bench him. You just don't.
Yeah.
Let him burn you in his lineup, but you can't bench him. You just can't. He's a Terminator.
And he's playing on incentive this week as well. So you're playing Connor. And Arizona has already said they want to play spoiler.
The only problem I have with the Packers is they have so many freaking wide receivers. Like, you just don't know any given week because, like they've said many times, they play.
And Reed hasn't been the guy as of late. So why am I going to? Yeah.
They really play like almost like if you're like a point guard in basketball, he's just getting the open man the ball. It's not really like kind of like hey, we have AJ Brown, and we're gonna make sure we get AJ Brown the ball. We're gonna scheme up ways to get him the ball.
I'm not starting Reed in
not where you have the option of a guy like Jennings where they're down a bunch of options and he's playing for incentive. And he's been a guy that's been kind of like big for the team throughout the year and showing up at many times since that Super Bowl last year. I just feel like the coaching staff will make sure that they get him the ball. And if it's full PPR, even more of a reason that Jennings does, I feel like, get that upside because he should get more catches and more work than Reed. So even if like Reed has a big game, I'd say that Jennings is just safer. They both offer blow up upside. Because there's definitely a world where Reed blows up and we're, like, damn, Reed had his game because that is in the cards. I just feel like Jennings is a safer play if you had to bet your money on it.
Let's get into our college football playoff picks. Tomorrow is a very, very interesting day. We already did our NFL picks, so make sure you guys check that out when we talk about the playoff picture. College football playoff. It's going to be intense. So we're not going to be on air Tuesday I'll be on air Tuesday, Wednesday calling the games. But we won't be on air to give you guys these picks. So we are going to start with the game on Tuesday. Penn State, Boise State. Game's at 5:30 over on ESPN. In the scenario that Connor's rolled out, then if I had to go with a back, it wouldn't be any of those. It would be Jennings in that flex, like we just mentioned. So Penn State, Boise State. Of course, Penn State dogs, like all across the field. Played up to competition. Don't let the fact that they're a 6 seed fool you. This is college football. Boise State 12-1. Ashton Jeanty really is the big weapon for that Boise State team. We're looking at the line opened at 11. It's still sitting at 11 in favor of Penn State. Got a 52.5 over under on this. Penn State a 450 money line favorite. 64.8% football index. How are you rocking here? Do you think Ashton Jeanty can lead the Boise State Broncos at home at that to an upset?
So they're playing on the blue turf?
Yeah, they're playing on the blue turf.
Oh, I fucking want them to win, though. Oh, my God. And I'm near Penn State, so I know a lot of people that went to Penn State. Great fucking crowd. Great people. Although, obviously, we have a lot of reasons to distrust Penn State. Let's not get into that. I want Boise State to win. I want him to take him to the showers. I want Boise State to pull off this upset. So, I mean, I'm hoping that this guy puts on a performance to make some NFL scouts like go, oh, shit. And, show off this, transcendent skill set that everyone keeps talking about. So I want Boise State to win. So if I'm picking, I'm going to pick Boise State as the underdog. Full well knowing that I'm going by names and colors here more than than actual hard-nosed analytics here, because more than likely, from what it sounds like, Penn State is an overwhelming favorite. They had 38 points in the other game. They are a powerhouse football team, but I don't know, Boise State always has those like performances. Like, because I remember when it was Andy Dalton and that team back in the day that started winning some games to put Boise on the map. So that's kind of like one of my introductions to college football. So I'm rolling with the guys, the blue turf.
I mean, well, Andy Dalton, he played with TCU. He played with TCU. Yeah, he played with the Horned Frogs.
Who was the guy with Boise State though? Because they had that epic run for a little bit.
Boise State has always put out good programs. Good football program up there in Idaho. The only thing that's going good for Idaho, that and potatoes. Look, Ashton Jeanty is just one player. The fact that this possibly is Idaho's biggest like competition of all season worries the fuck out of me. I get what Ashton Jeanty done has been incredible. We might see Ashton Jeanty get locked the fuck down come New Year's Eve. 52.5 is very high for me going up against a perennial powerhouse like Penn State. In college, yes, it's all about how you can run the ball. But at the end of the day, in football, when that starts to fail, you need to be able to adjust the scheme and be able to pass the ball. And Boise State can't really do that. Penn State's a little bit more of a balanced attack. I have Penn State all the fucking way. Now, I know there's going to be some people that are going to go back and rewatch this segment or see this or seeing this, and they're like, it's the typical Robbie Ashton Jeanty hate. This is no Ashton Jeanty hate. The Boise State does not play up to the competition that some of these other programs and some of these other conferences have to. Give me Penn State all the way. It's a more balanced approach to the game. Versus where everything is predicated, I feel like, for Boise State on Ashton Jeanty. Camper's the receiving leader, 55 receptions, 837 yards, 4 TDs. Whereas the receiving leader on the Penn State side, Warren, 92 receptions, 1,095 yards, 6 TDs. You got Singleton on the ground, who could go for 140, who's gone for 145 a carry, 928 yards, 8 TDs. I get Jeanty 344 carries, 497 yards, 29 TDs. But then even the quarterback, Andrew Lawler, he's 237 for 346, 321 yards, 21 TDs, seven interceptions. Madison on the other side, 224 out of 361, 2,714 yards, 22 TDs, 3 interceptions. I just think that Penn State has a little bit more of a balanced attack. They can win in multiple phases. And then, George, to answer your question, bro, if Connor is out, then fine, play Tracy. But Connor's probably not going to be out. I don't see that happening. Getting into the games on Wednesday, we have 3 of them on New Year's Day to start off 2025. Texas, Arizona. This one's easy for me. It's Texas.
Who's the Texas quarterback?
Quinn Ewers.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be in the draft this year, right?
He's a guy.
He's him. He's going to be one of those guys. So, yeah, I'll take Texas over Arizona State in this one. They put up 38 in their last game. That's riding a hot hand versus the team on quote-unquote bye. Is that what we're calling that? They were on a bye.
They were. Both these teams, yeah.
So yeah, I'll take Texas there.
I mean, look, setting a line at 13.5 is straight up diabolical, especially like heading in, like as we get closer to like a national championship. You hope that some of these games maybe get a little bit closer. Quinn Ewers, dangerous with the ball in his hands. Windsor, a great back. Golden, great at receiving. A lot of what Arizona can do. Arizona can match up with this team. Scatterboo has been amazing. Cam Scatterboo has been amazing out of the backfield. He's definitely going to be one of those guys that's going to make an NFL team and make a difference whenever he gets drafted. I just lean Texas because, again, more bounce approach, bounce attack. This is a school that just has all-stars all across the roster. That defense is fucking nasty. This game is going to be about stopping Scatterboo, and if you could stop the run, you're going to win this game. Ohio State, Oregon. That is a 3 p.m. game, probably the biggest game. I mean, next to Notre Dame, Georgia, which we're going to get into next.
I know who I'm going for in this one.
What do you got?
Oh, I got Oregon. I want Oregon to beat the shit out of them. I want it to be a bloodbath. You know why? Because I want to see what Shannon and fucking Steven can say to Kirk.
Dude.
But also, you were talking about, isn't the quarterback from Oregon, who's the quarterback from Oregon again?
Dylan Gabriel.
And you were speaking about him as well before as a upstart, and he was one of the front runners, or not front runners, but top runners for the Heisman this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, you know, no disrespect. I mean, Will Howard, a great QB as well. Will Howard not as highly touted as an NFL prospect, like you know, Dylan Gabriel may be. He's a senior though. So he's playing for legacy, and there are certain college quarterbacks that they may not be, you know, the greatest NFL prospect ever, but they are a damn good college quarterback. You know, the Tebows, the Brady Quinns, et cetera, et cetera. This line opened up at 1. It is now sitting at 2.5. I do believe that unlike the previous 2 games where I feel like the under is very much well underplay in those, as long as it doesn't get too one-sided. I think this game is going to be right down the split. It could come down to who has the ball last. You have an Oregon team that is going to beat you with speed. I love Oregon. I love this spread offense. Everything about Oregon is just so tantalizing, but you have this weird psychotic fascination that Ohio State fans have where we're not going to make it to the national championship because we lost to Michigan. I get that is your biggest rival. That is one fucking game. That is one game. A lot of people are calling for Ryan Day's job because he lost to Michigan. I can see Ryan Day utilizing this as a pushback game and as a way to get his lick back. All in all, Ohio State, just because you've been there and you've done that, I don't know. I'm going to ride with Oregon. I'm going to ride with Dylan Gabriel. Johnson, the receiving game, a threat. This team kills you with speed. Speed kills. I worry about their ability to stretch the field, but that Ohio State defense is going to keep this game in check. So don't get it twisted. Give me the Ducks on the spread.
Plus, they have better uniforms.
Finally, Notre Dame, Georgia. This one's interesting because you got Georgia representing the SEC now.
This is easy.
I mean, Texas representing the SEC as well. But yeah.
I mean, let's face it, the Bulldogs are they're a household name. Everybody knows about Georgia Bulldogs. And Notre Dame, let's face it, they've been fucking trash for a long ass time.
But Notre Dame is running a very hardball type of play underneath Howard at coach. It's like this weird bootleg ripoff version of Michigan last year.
Are they in the SEC?
No.
Yeah.
But we are in an NIL era where that does not matter. And that running back they have, Love, he's only a sophomore.
That is true. I just don't see the Irish beating the Bulldogs. And the thing about Georgia is they're always good. Or at least in the last couple of years, they have been one of those teams that's always good. And I just, this isn't the final rounds yet. They're still, punching with some of the lower guys. I just don't see a Notre Dame being on this stage yet. I mean, obviously they've begun to work their way back into notoriety. Same thing with Penn State, as these local schools to me are now well, I don't know how local Notre Dame is, but they're always on TV here in New York. I guess because they're so Irish and Catholic, and these guys. But no, Georgia, baby, give me the Bulldogs.
Yeah, give me the Bulldogs. I do worry about that Notre Dame defense getting after Carson Beck. Should they show up and rise up to the occasion? But Carson Beck has seen a lot of these defense looks before. Jeremiah Love could have. I mean, he's only a sophomore. Next year, or even the year after, whenever he chooses to declare for the NFL draft next year, he'll be eligible for the NFL draft. I said it last time when I was covering Notre Dame. I've misworded a little bit, but I said, hey, Jeremiah Love, he had made some plays last game, and I was like, NFL scouts just saw him go the fuck off doing his best Saquon Barkley impersonation, and they're looking at this kid, they're ready to go. Someone's fired up. No one's going to be able to take him on their big board this year, but following years, he's going to be a guy. But I do think the Bulldogs, they get us through. I think this Notre Dame team is just a year away. This program's just a year away. They got to keep installing some things. The Catholics, they love bringing in their guys and recruiting their guys. They always build a good program around Notre Dame. Very prestigious organization with Notre Dame. No slight towards you guys, but the Bulldogs are going to come in and munch. Other than that, anything else that you want to close out tonight's show with? Any final takes?
God bless everyone during this fantasy playoff and championship season. May your players stay healthy. May they score well. May your lineup decisions come easy. And may you hit as many home runs as you possibly can.
I'm beating the dog shit out of Mike. So I just pray that continues this way. So I can win the staff league. Other than that, we'll be back next week. I will be streaming the night game Sunday, Commanders, Falcons. Make sure you guys tune in. More about that to come. Cheers to me. Cheers to you. All the Rumboyz and girls, what to do. Dilly Dilly Taco. Let's get you to bed.
Hey, yeah.